side will you choose?
All right, welcome back, everybody, for the second time to the Nexus Gaming Series here. Division D East. Again, we're going to be seeing a matchup here between ProBUs Drift, Cannon Rush, and Zul'jin Distillery. The teams are all set up and ready to go, so just to remind everybody where we're at, what we're doing. Currently, both teams have played a flex match in Week 1. Today, the last day of Week 1 here. But they both played. Zul'jin Distillery won their match 2-1 over Illa Dancing Queens. ProBUs Drift lost their match 1-2 against Nexus Cats. Our maps here for today, we've got the bands coming out from ProBUs. It's going to be That's not right. Did I do that wrong? No, yeah. From ProBUs, it's Infernal Shrines and Towers of Doom. And Zul'jin Distillery banned out Tomb of the Spider Queen and Battlefield of Eternity. Our first map going to be the selection of Zul'jin Distillery here. It's going to be Dragonshire, and we're all set up and ready to go. All right, we're gonna see bans here on ETC and Zool. So far, the solo lane's so incredibly important here on Dragonshire, so seeing the Zool be taken off the map, not a big surprise here. Varian gonna be the second ban, and again, not really a big surprise considering that was partially what made the success happen for Zul'jin Distillery when they played against Illa Dancing Queens on this very map. We're going to see Johanna. So that leaves up heroes like Rexar and Sonya. And there's the Rexar right there, in fact. It also leaves up your Deathwing. But we're not going to get either of those. We're going to get Kael'thas and Malfurion. A quick response here coming from Zul'jin Distillery. And Malfurion for lead. Garrosh and Lunara now. So Garrosh going to be able to throw around some of these squishy heroes, potentially lock them down. Certainly with a fight with Rexar, making use of Misha Charge could really lock somebody down for a bit there. Not to mention, just the longer that Lunara is able to keep her damage over time effects on a player, the more damage she's going to do. So keeping a hero close means she can really pop off on them. At level 16, when she can do additional damage thanks to slows, I don't remember, intensifying toxin I think is what it is, maybe that's the 20, that gets even worse thanks to Garrosh's Groundbreaker and her own abilities. KT says Rackham. And here's Muradin, the final ban here, along with the Kel'Thuzad, which I don't think I mentioned, so there you go. Kel'Thuzad, the ban coming out from Zul'jin Distillery. All right, so we're looking for a tank here. We could see potentially Diablo, although he's fallen out of favor a little bit. A lot of tank bans here. Diablo could be one. Stitches is out there. I don't think it's really the pick, and it is going to be Diablo. Now that's a tricky tank to take into a Garrosh. With all of the tank bans that they have there, Diablo being left up, really rough. I think in some ways Mal'Ganis could have potentially been another option, where if you throw him, he just puts your backline to sleep. But we'll see how this works out. Furion, we got Tychus, and here comes the Jaina and the Rhaegar. So no potential for Jaina to go on to the other side. I wouldn't have expected that anyways. You don't see a whole lot of double mage. Could happen. It does happen. probably not going to be a Bloodlust Rhaegar like we saw here the other night. And speaking of that, Deathwing, there she blows. Let's see, we got everybody we do. Now, the interesting thing about this is we actually saw, if you watched the matchup a couple days ago, and I mentioned this earlier, between ProBUs Drift and the Nexus Cats, Badgerlord played Chen versus the Deathwing of Turd Herder, and for the most part, that was very much in favor of the Chen. So it'll be interesting to see now how the play goes using Rexar and Misha. Oh, that's not what I want. I want to put in a poll. All right, who do you think is going to win? Is it going to be the ProBUs Drift Cannon Rush team? Or is it going to be Zul'jin Distillery? You can vote in chat. Select the drop down at the top right of your screen. Identify which team you think is going to win or that you want to win. Hit the vote button. And your vote will be counted. All right, let's get our teams introduced. On the left, it's the home team, ProBUs Drift. We've got Hirobi playing... What was that? Jaina, Dreadlord Jaina. We got Chaos Tank playing the tank Garrosh. We got Desda on the Rhaegar. Aruba on the Lunara. And Rexar going to be played by Badgerlord. Over here for Zul'jin Distillery, we got B-Fresh playing Tychus. Cowboy Kyle going to be on the Deathwing, led on the Malfurion. And D-Whit on the Diablo. And Ankle Shot coming in on Kael'thas. Vote early, vote often, Chicago style. RIP. All right, so checking out the talents. Anything unexpected? Let's see. So far, no, I don't think there's literally any talent that's unexpected. I think every single one of these is pretty much what you would expect. The only one maybe here, Natural Perspective, even that is probably a pretty common one. You do often see the Sentinel Wisp for that extra vision. So teams working on their rotations at the beginning here. A little bit ahead is Zul'jin Distillery, which is a little surprising. With the Jaina Lunara, you would kind of expect that ProBUs Drift would be ahead in that game. But at least for right now, it's pretty close to even. And this also means that ProBUs can be a little bit closer to their walls, which gives the threat for Garrosh. If Zul'jin Distillery decides that they want to step forward, then Garrosh can throw somebody right into a wall, start stacking that armor penetration from the tower shots. Both teams making their way to the siege camps here in the bot half of the map. And those will be coming up here soon. Diablo kind of getting cheeky, but Garrosh gets the throw, the toss, the stun, but not enough follow-up, not quite close enough. And I'm not sure if he could have thrown him here. Even if he did, Diablo could have shadow charged over the wall. So it still might not have worked out, but it would have been interesting to see. Throw him over that wall, and then the team is in a position that they can capitalize on. Now we've got Misha holding on to the point up here in the top for the blue team, ProBUs. And Garrosh here getting a little bit caught, has the root, the gravity lapse. Has level 4 up here first for the Zul'jin Distillery. And it looks like most of chat saying ProBUs is going to win this one. Garrosh going to get caught in the root, has the gravity lapse. The living bomb going to go off and spread to all three of the other heroes. First blood going over to Zul'jin Distillery. Welcome, Lily. Good to see you. And up in the top here, Deathwing versus Misha. Let's get a close up on this. See how this goes. That's probably a little too close. Misha having to pull back, the Mend Pet going out just in time here. Tychus is in the mid lane, so with Deathwing pushing Misha off of the point here, this almost certainly guarantees it. But Garrosh able to make it just in time to force Tychus at least to stop his channel for the moment. Now it's Kael'thas and Tychus gonna make it here. The throw, but this is a 4-man rotation here coming out from Zul'jin Distillery. So they've got enough to push Garrosh back, but here's the rest of the cavalry coming in from ProBUs. But the first dragon at about 3 minutes gonna go over to Zul'jin Distillery, and they're gonna start off in the mid lane. Get this first tower down. We'll see what they're going to do. Are they going to finish off the towers and head off to another lane, top, bottom, either one, or will they continue to press with the Dragon Knight? Dragon Knight's sitting at about 20% health now, so ultimately they're going to go ahead and pull back, and maybe they head down to bot lane, just clear up this wave, get the XP out of it. Early game Dragon Knights, they die just so quickly, so there's only so much you can get. And keep in mind too that the towers will continue to focus the Dragon Knight even if a hero comes in to attack. So that is one advantage of the vehicle maps, is that it enables, owning the vehicle enables your team to be able to be a little more aggressive, kind of old style aggressive, because the towers don't shoot the heroes then, because the vehicle is considered a hero. And we'll have to fact check that when we see that happen again, although I've seen it happen on Volskaya, so we'll see if it continues with Dragonshire. Level 7's up for both teams here so far. We do have one interesting talent there in the rhythm for Tychus, so looking to get that additional duration onto his minigun. Really helpful for the Garrosh. Also with that level 1 here, giving me the additional range of 1.5 anytime he uses his dash. Is it dash or is it running gun? Running gun. Dash is the talent. Diablo charging over the Garrosh there. So far we haven't really seen the Garrosh Diablo interaction be all that bad for Diablo. There was the one time, but ultimately he's been in a pretty good spot. He's gonna get flipped this time, and Garrosh using his unstoppable to make sure he doesn't get caught by that root. Taika's gonna get thrown here. A lot of damage coming out from Lunara. Can she finish the job? Not quite, it looks like, as Malfurion with that regrowth and the Moonfire spam gonna keep Tychus alive, but Kael'thas gonna help finish off the Garrosh, and that's 2-0 in kills, both on the Garrosh here, and I believe both coming out from Kael'thas as well. Does it show on this? Where kills? Really? No kills? There's kills. Oh, maybe not. Tychus got one. Oh, and of course Deathwing got the kill on Tamisha up above here. So Deathwing up in the top is going to be able to hold on to the objective here, and I think that's a tall order. Rexxar versus Deathwing is a bit of a difficult circumstance there for the Rexxar. He doesn't do enough damage, doesn't have any percent damage or anything like that to really keep the Deathwing off of that point. I mean, Deathwing starts off with 40 armor here, and it looks like Rhaegar gonna fall in the bottom at the wall here. Diablo pushing forward with the Bruiser camp, has the Kael'thas and Malfurion as well, but the team not quite close enough to help that, so Diablo gonna take a lot of damage from the tower. How does he have... Oh, right. I was gonna say, how does he have 20 spell armor? Well, he's standing in the spell armor, silly. Misha manages to take the top point for just a moment, but is probably about to die for it. So that relieves a little bit of pressure for a moment, as both teams now have their heroics. And Tychus making his way, is going to get caught by the Garrosh, the toss, the stun. And Rhaegar falling again in the bot lane here. Trying to keep an eye on this Dragon Knight. But Rexxar able to pick up the top. So the channel no longer active, as Jaina coming down now is going to channel the bot lane just for a moment. Ends up deciding, you know what, I don't have any defense here. There's no allies to help me out, so I'm going to pull back. And the Wisp providing some vision here in the Delta. In between. Now this is the moment where some of that old Looney Tunes nature music would be perfect. I wonder if I might have to get that. Turn that on in circumstances like this when we've got deers and wolves on a team in the forest, so to speak. Here comes the Apocalypse. The flip onto Jaina. She's going to get the cleanse, but it's too late, too little. Ancestral going out onto Chaos Tank. He's got a living bomb, so he's going to spread that in just a moment. Lunara getting a little too close, bringing that bomb in and allowing the damage to spread not only to those heroes, but also exploding between them. So pretty much maximum living bomb value there. Rexxar the only potential option to stall out the point here, but up in the top, but it's just not going to happen. Deathwing's too difficult for the Rexxar. Ultimately, this is a very difficult draft for ProBUs to overcome. They ultimately cannot pretty much ever get the top without sending additional aid to Rexar. And okay, Deathwing kills Rexar. It happens. So anyways, and then in the bot lane, so you've ultimately got to win your 4-man, and right now they've been really struggling with it. Lunara's damage being mitigated significantly by Malfurion's healing, the percent damage from Tychus, and then of course that gravity lapse with the living bombs, and the living bombs have been spreading a fair bit. So very tall order for them to overcome here. This keep falling to about half, as the Blizzard going to get a little bit of damage there. Still need about 5,000 critical damage for Jaina to finish her Ice Block Clash, and that'll certainly be helpful. Yeah, Taco, it is an early Sunday match. Having a 4 p.m. game, it's a rarity. Jaina going in a little too far. Diablo catching against the wall there. Garrosh having to pop Unstoppable is going to get the Ancestral just in the nick of time, as all of that living bomb damage nearly took him out once again. We do have even talent tiers here. Siege Camp coming into the bot lane, and it looks like with that, Zul'jin Distillery is coming in looking for a keep, especially with that extra kill onto the Garrosh. So most likely this keep is about to fall. And then what do you do if you're Zul'jin? They can't really end here, I don't think. They're on the same talent tiers. They do have a couple levels of advantage. They're going to have 16 soon, but the new core mechanics do make it a little bit more challenging to defend. That said, I don't think the Dragonshire one is even remotely close to the worst. I think Sky Temple is probably the easiest to defend from a core standpoint, because those tornadoes are a real pain in the neck, and they cover basically, you know, a third or half of the space. Here we go. We got a camp invade coming in. It's almost like they had knowledge that they were here. The end of the fray throwing Rhaegar out is going to keep Rhaegar alive here. Rexar coming in, getting a big Misha charge onto 4, but Misha falling very low. Chaos Tank going to throw out Diablo, but the taunt coming in is going to hit Kael'thas as well, but Garrosh just not able to sustain through all of that damage. And keep in mind, Rexar has no Misha, so Rexar is now pretty much just finding himself a trip to the graveyard as well. Put himself into a bit of a corner with that Bruiser Camp coming in, taking all the damage. Dewitt almost falling because of that 40 armor reduction from the tower, but ultimately able to make it out. And with level 16 advantage here, I kind of expect to see Deathwing, yeah, I was going to say Deathwing take flight, come down into the bot lane and pick this up, and then we'll see one of these Zul'jin Distillery folk pick up that Dragon Knight. And with a Dragon Knight and a 16 advantage, they may actually decide to go ahead and run it through bot and look at core. There's the throw. There's the taunt. Not quite in range of the tower, though, so makes it very difficult to get the kill onto that Diablo, especially with that level advantage, giving him the extra health. A little close, though. Rexar up in the top, trying to keep the pressure from mounting up in the upper half of the map. But ultimately, Zul'jin Distillery not electing to go for the bottom lane. Lunara, however, getting the charge, flip stun, and deleted. Jaina now completing that trait quest, Frostbite, so she's got her ice block here. And how much more can Zul'jin Distillery get? They've got 37 seconds on the Dragon Knight. It's about a third of its health, making its way onto the core here. And I don't think, so I want to see one of these folks here attack one of the heroes. So I want to see the tower if it changes. You know what, it did, well, it attacked Malfurion, but it was after the dragon died, so maybe not. Rexar gonna get flipped, but the taunt, the throw, and the charge coming back onto the Rexar. Ancestral going out to keep Garrosh alive here. And it's a 5 versus 4, so this could be a good defense option for ProBUs as they do get that kill onto Diablo, resetting his soul, so he'll be back in just a moment. Certainly much faster than Rexar. And Deathwing's going to head up into the air. He is pretty well full, but doesn't want to walk the 50 yards or so to presumably up here into the top lane. Is that what his plan is? Or he just wants to have his land available. So here he comes. He's going to land in onto Jaina and Rhaegar. And that's enough to help finish the job there. Chaos Tank very low as well. Is going to have to pull back, so no healer, and Zul'jin Distillery still maybe not quite looking for it. They do get the charge onto Lunara. She's got 6 health, maybe able to make it out. And no finish there onto Lunara. Tychus nearly getting the opportunity there, but not quite able to do it. And once again, Diablo charging in onto the Garrosh, flipping him all over the place, and it's looking very much like game number 1. Gonna go over to Zul'jin Distillery. $16 kills to 1. That 1 kill coming in on the Diablo at the near the end of that fight, that final fight. Sorry, no, it wasn't the final fight. It was the fight before the final fight, actually. So overall, you know, I gotta say that a lot of that comes down to the mismatch between the Rexar and the Deathwing. It was very difficult for Rexar to maintain that position against the Deathwing, and that meant that there was no opportunity for the 4-man to slip up, because once they lost anything, it opened up the map. It made it a little bit easier for Zul'jin Distillery to pick up that bottom point, and the moment they pick up the bottom point, they can get the Dragon Knight. 14.5 minute game. Overall, pretty handily in favor of Zul'jin Distillery. That said, don't count these guys out. They can come back in game number 2, learn from what took place there on game number 1, and we've got ourselves a 3-game series then. Alrighty then. So we'll be back in just a moment as we look to find out where we're going for our second map. We'll be right back.
You have finally returned home.
Home? You destroyed my home. Slaughtered innocents. Left peaceful realms in ruins. You broke your promise.
I will not be questioned. Return to the tower at once. Fine.
How could you?
Dead magic. I am beyond that power.
You're wrong. will fight. I will never stop fighting you. For my family. For the realm. For the Nexus.
All right, and we're back. Looks like we are all set up and ready to go now. And we are heading to... You might have even heard it. We're heading to Alterac Pass. The selection of ProBUs Drift Cannon Rush they elected for Alterac Pass. And just in case you missed it earlier here, our map bans coming out from ProBUs were the Infernal Shrines and Towers of Doom. Zul'jin Distillery banned out Battlefield of Eternity and Tomb of the Spider Queen. Game number 1 there was on Dragonshire. We just watched that. That was picked and won by Zul'jin Distillery. And we're ready to go in the draft. Now, I did mention earlier that it wouldn't surprise me if we saw Alterac Pass as another map in this series. That said, I didn't expect it from ProBUs. I thought it might have come from Zul'jin Distillery, because they had actually played this against Ill Dancing Queens. They won that map. So we'll see how this goes. Sticking with some familiar bands, going to be Johanna and ETC. And we'll have to see if this changes much. Obviously, the first ban has switched sides, so Zool is a hero that could be left through. We saw some pretty significant value out of the Kael'thas in that game as well. Obviously, the Deathwing. Both of those heroes could potentially be a threat here on Alterac Pass as well. So it's going to be up to ProBUs to decide what is the biggest threat to them. As we get Kel'Thuzad being banned a little bit earlier. And there goes the Zool. I wouldn't be surprised if we see an early tank pick. But instead, they're going to go into the Kael'thas. And it's DeWitt picking up the Kael'thas. Now, either they're going to be doing some switching around shenanigans, or somebody else has a hero they want to play. Could it be the Stitches? Hirobi going to pick up the Sylvanas. This is... honestly, without question, her best map. Get an objective, win the game, pretty much, with the Sylvanas. So we'll have to see what Zul'jin Distillery comes up with in response. Do they take something like an Arthas or even a Gazlo? Both heroes that can shut down the structures, give them a little bit more flexibility. Or do they care about such things? And there comes the Varian and Malfurion. So once again, this is an easy combo, right? Point click taunt at level 4, you root them, you've got a gravity lapse, and all of your damage goes into that one target. So that said, Anduin does have a leap of faith. So every minute and a half, he can save one person out of the, what is it, 20 seconds for taunt. So it's going to be a little bit harder for them. Greymane going to be the next ban here, and I think that's a very important ban. I think that with this combination, a Cursed Bullet would be absolutely just terrible for them. And it's going to be Garrosh, the third and final ban here for Zul'jin Distillery. So we got Anduin, we got Sylvanas so far. So Johanna's been banned, ETC has been banned, and Garrosh has been banned. Diablo, we just saw the Diablo. Muradin is still available. I could see a Muradin. Yeah. Dog is driving. Oh. I was like, what are you talking about? So that was actually a picture that I took of her. I was parked and she was looking out over, you know, over my, essentially over my shoulder, and she just kind of put her paws on the door, was looking out over. There was a dog that she was looking at, and so it was just perfect placement. You know, you can't really see it well on the image, but you can actually see the car's mirrors right there, so you can see her. And we're gonna see Deathwing again now. Deathwing is gonna have a little bit more damage potential from the Rainer coming in, but that only matters if Rainer's actually there. And I kind of like this. You know, previously we've seen the Chen played by Badgerlord against Deathwing, and this is a map that the team is going to be more likely together more often, because these objectives need your team to make them work effectively. So, all right, let's get our poll posted here. All right, who do you think's going to win? Is it going to be ProBUs Drift Cannon Rush looking to start the climb toward their reverse sweep, or is it going to be Zul'jin Distillery? You get to choose. Now, you guys were wildly off last game. We'll have to see if chat is a little bit better this time. Let's go ahead and get our teams introduced. Looking to start that reverse sweep, we got ProBUs Drift on the left here, the home team. We got Hirobi playing the Sylvanas, Desda on the Anduin, Chaos Tank playing that Muradin, Aruba dancing over here on that Rainer, and Chen going to be played by Badgerlord. And on the right, it's Zul'jin Distillery. Once again, Cowboy Kyle playing the Deathwing ankle shot on the Kael'thas. Of course they switched. Varian going to be played by DeWitt, led on the Malfurion, and Be Fresh on the Tychus. I feel like this is a very familiar team composition, guys. Let me actually fix that Kael'thas. See if that'll update. Probably not. Yeah, it probably just went right through. You know, let's just do those pop-ups again. All right, checking this out. So Varian going into the Lion's Maw, so he'll have that additional slow that does not decay for 2 seconds. Kael'thas going into Globes. Got a renewed talent out of Anduin. And I'm interested, I want to watch a little bit between this Chen and Deathwing, so I'm going to try to follow them a little bit as the game goes on. Especially since, you know, these guys are just doing some rotations. They're going to head over to camps here. Right? Both teams heading to their camps. Chen diving in a little bit, taking just the briefest moment of tower aggro, but didn't actually take any shots. Ace in the hole from Sylvanas here. We got Mida the Banshee Queen. Man, ProBUs has got some fans out there today. 100%. Last game it was 90-something%. And DeWitt falling very low. Can they finish the job? One more attack from Sylvanas will seal the deal, and first blood going over to ProBUs Drift. Siege camps picked up here by both teams, so those will meet in the middle. But with the Sylvanas, they could potentially get a little bit more value out of that. They're not going to with Sylvanas in the bot lane, though. So Rainer and Sylvanas, both of the DPS in the bot, keeping that clear from the Tychus. And so far, nothing too crazy with this Chen Deathwing combination here. But I believe, I don't know for sure, because we didn't spend a whole lot of time last game on them. But it might have been the first time that Deathwing is under his 40 armor in this series. So we'll have to see. Varian picking up the taunt now, so he's a little bit more of a tanky hero. Gets additional health as well as that taunt button. But down in the bot here, Tychus getting so much value, pushing in, getting the wall already. And no additional value here from ProBUs in the mid lane. No damage on the wall, no damage onto heroes. This time Varian getting very low thanks to those towers. Can Aruba survive this? Not gonna happen. As the living bomb gonna finish the job. Stand firm, chat says Arby's. Fair enough. Sad there aren't any conventional balloon rate loans. I'm confused, but okay. Both teams going to pick up their siege camps once again here. And let's check to see if either Deathwing or Chen has tapped. So Deathwing still has his, in fact, he's going to use it right now. How about Chen? Chen also used his recently, so both of them going to have to go with what they've got now. Now keep in mind that Healing Well does not give Deathwing back his armor plates, so he's still going to be at 30 unless he takes flight or gets Elementium plating at 16, but that'll be quite some time away here. So that said, Zul'jin Distillery are going to make their way onto the point here. Murden going to jump over the wall. Is by himself, gets taunted. Tychus going to town on that minigun damage here. And the stun working on those stacks for Murden. So the benefit of Sylvanas goes down a little bit if you don't get the prison camps. So it's very important for them to get that value here. They do have, however, ProBUs has this siege camp pushing in the mid lane, so they are going to get a little bit of value out of that. Also, possession the pick here from Sylvanas. So they'll be able to convert those waves and provide a little bit more pressure than normal. And here comes Deathwing going into the air. Now, he has at level 7, he had this last game as well. So Firestorm, when he lands, he does additional damage with those meteors. Chen getting taunted, uses the stagger, but is just fine. And there are those meteors right there. Now, when those meteors hit, it reduces his cooldown to go back up in the air by 25 seconds. So that allows him to go up and come back down pretty frequently, but it means he also has 10 seconds to wait. But that whole time, there's that combo that I mentioned earlier onto the Murden this time. And the taunt, the root, and it's just not enough. Not enough to sustain through. With 4 seconds left on the timer, the first objective looking like it's going to go over to Zul'jin Distillery. Chen in a little bit of danger here, now gets taunted. The stagger's going to come out, so he'll at least... Never mind. Never mind. I was going to say he's at least going to get back into range of his towers. But, unfortunately, not quite. Sylvana's going to get this Living Bomb for free, as does Chaos Tank. Have to watch for the Living Bombs placed on structures. It's easier to see them when they're on heroes. But if you look around and you hear that sound of Living Bomb, and you don't see it on a hero, it's probably about to explode on you. Gotta watch for that. So we got Chen working on clearing up the mid lane. Probably will be able to take that out before it gets up to the fort. Raynor working on the bot lane, and of course the wall's already down here. Bfresh took those out a long time ago, but it's top lane where all the action is taking place. Is level 10 is now available for Zul'jin Distillery, and we'll see if they make use of those. So it's going to be Phoenix for the Kael'thas. So Kael'thas pretty much has to drop that and leave, because the towers will prioritize him now because of that Phoenix very easily. The fort will go down, and so far at least ProBUs able to survive with their 3 versus 4 here. Murden going in with the stun, manages to get that stun onto Varian here. The taunt going out onto Anduin, the root, the follow-up Flame Strike. And with that Twilight Dream and the stun coming out from Deathwing, able to land that kill onto Murden as well. And only Sylvanas here to defend, so a lot of damage is being put out onto the top wall. Probably going to get this first tower, maybe? There it is. Chen's here, no Tychus, but also no Murden. As we see Deathwing taking flight once again, and he can come down. He'll be able to come down if they decide to take a fight. 2 forts ultimately from that first objective, and this is a map where it's very difficult to come back once you've had that much of the map opened up. It certainly can be done, right? But there's a huge advantage now for Zul'jin Distillery. The next prison camps, of course, down on the bot half of the map. And I think that this slightly favors, the positioning slightly favors Zul'jin Distillery, because it'll be a little bit closer. No, I can't zoom back. There we go. It'll be a little bit closer to their fort than it will be for ProBUs. But Chen, being a little bit far forward there, is going to have the full rotation of the team. And it's going to be barrel for Chen. He has the full unstoppable, but he's got to be able to drink, and it's just not enough He's gonna fall there to his own stagger at the end. Wailing Arrow coming out, but Deathwing coming in with the Cataclysm. Here comes the drill as well onto Muradin. But it's Anduin who's in the greatest danger here as the combo coming in. Muradin popping that Avatar, trying to be able to make it out, but the Living Bomb ultimately going to secure that kill and get a little damage onto the wall and the tower as well. So now vision fully opened up, and I expect we're going to see the top boss as the call, as the rotation coming in from Zul'jin Distillery. And now that top boss, without significant defense, could take out this keep. And that would be a fantastic place for Zul'jin Distillery to find themselves going into this second cavalry objective. ProBUs Drift trying to get whatever value they can. They put some additional minion pressure in the mid lane there. They've got the possession from Sylvanas that allows that to push just a little bit harder here. And gonna rotate in and gather the timer on the objective. Now the boss won't threaten core. It will take out the keep, but even if it was full, it won't kill the core. And any damage on the core is non-permanent. And I don't think that this one was changed. Light Bomb going up, but it's not going to land as Muradin just not able to get away from the multitude of damage coming out from Malfurion and Kael'thas. So that's going to put ProBUs in a position that they're going to try to save their keep. The minion waves are stacked up pretty much dead even as well for right now, so that gives them a bit of a breather if this objective comes in. But not for too long, because they do clear the minions pretty quickly, and there are Reaver minions as well in both the top and bottom lane. So the top lane is going to be the one that threatens the most. It is difficult, however, to take out a core with only one keep down. Here comes Cataclysm. Chaos Tank going in deep, but is going to get taunted and ultimately taken out here. Hirobi very low as well, only a couple hundred health, as Barrel, the option for Badger to get out of dodge there, using that Unstoppable to get away from all of those various lockdown abilities, the taunt, the root, the gravity lapse, the, what is his, ground stomp, ground shatter? Let's take a look. Earth shatter, that was close. Heck, even the Tychus grenade has a little bit of disruption there. Looks like Varian was looking for the Raider, but I think he was just barely out of their vision, so he wasn't able to find him there, checking that bush to make sure he didn't go hide in there to Hearth. And top keep with the objective coming in. Gonna be able to finish this off. Let's take a look at Deathwing's damage. Is he... Yeah, he doesn't get the benefit. I know they said he doesn't get the benefit, but I just wanted to make sure. The benefit from the cavalry is what I'm talking about, by the way. Chen's in the bot lane. Level 16 advantage here now for Zul'jin Distillery, as the first cavalry making its way to the core. And we'll see here with the Banner of Dalaran from Varian. Gonna get a little extra damage from that Kael'thas and from the Deathwing. And how can they make this work? So they've got the root there. The Varian, there you go. There you go. Unfortunately, he's getting punted into an area without a keep. So no additional damage coming from towers. The gravity lab's going out onto the Sylvanas, and the living bombs being spread. Muradin and Chen falling immediately after. And do they look to try to end here? I think that they'd be better served to just take out that mid keep. And we see here Vandar doing what he can, pushing everybody back. And I think that, yeah, that's a successful defense here. Now, Raynor, yeah, I was going to say, Raynor needs to not keep going. You pushed him away. That's a good enough place to be. And this is where they should have been, because with their heroes being as low as they were, Varian was very low. Oh, well, there you go. Leap of Faith, getting some value. And Varian taking the tower damage is going to get taken out. And this is the opportunity now for ProBUs to try to find something. They're down a talent tier, and ankle shot Kael'thas here, isolated from the rest of his team. Can they get it? They do. So that's now 2 kills in favor of ProBUs. They've got to find something to happen here. So they're going to make their way onto the bottom boss, and this at least gives them something. Zul'jin Distillery will be able to pretty much ignore it, but at least it gives them some kind of presence on the map. They could even, you know, push with Sylvanas for a bit, but ultimately they're not going to want to give up this prison camp, because this prison camp now will end the game. They've got a huge wave coming in the mid lane. They've got a significant wave in top lane. The wave in top lane will be fine. It will not finish the game, but it certainly will cause pressure, enough pressure that at some point you could see Zul'jin Distillery just decide, all right, let's go end the game. That's only 10k health left. The same thing for the minions in the mid lane. They will eventually take that keep down, and then that's a threat. Murden going in, he is pretty much by himself here. Sylvanas in the back. The root down, there goes the taunt. And Cataclysm coming in, Light Bomb coming out onto Murden, but he's about to spread the living bombs. Oh no, that's not. That's Conflagration. He's instead going to get the kill onto the Deathwing thanks to Sylvanas there. And Badger coming in with the barrel, but Murden gonna get taunted and taken out by Varian. Can they get anything more here? The channel's still going. 15 seconds left here as Led falling to the Sylvanas in the back. Also the Tychus. I completely missed the Tychus. Boss in the bot lane does manage to take out the fort here, but ProBUs about to lose their mid keep, and this is a huge potential problem for them. Of note, the top boss is back and available. We'll see if they can make use of that. No Murden. Oh, the damage coming out from Sylvanas there, forcing Ankle Shot to pull back. Now Varian going over there. This is the important thing right here. These provide vision, so it's pretty much impossible for Varian to sneak in there, try to channel that for the last 6 seconds. They will have the opportunity to come in and fight though. With 20 seconds or so for Malfurion to get here, whether or not they can be successful in stalling the camp for that long, I don't know, but they have the opportunity. This is pretty aggressive considering they have no Chen. And the minion, is he gonna finish it? He's not. They do get the interrupt, so 6 seconds left. Light Bomb is out. It's gonna hit onto 2. Tychus, the only one stunned though because of the unstoppable of Deathwing here. Hirobi having to get out of here, uses the silence, the Wailing Arrow there, and Murden is pretty low. Living Bombs spreading over onto the Anduin. And now it's just under 6 seconds left for ProBUs. So both teams here, the next time they click on this, should be able to get their objective. But who's it going to be? Chen is back. The big stun onto Varian, and Deathwing's up in the air. So this is the best possible time for them to try to make something happen. They've only got a few seconds before he can come back down. And Kael'thas is the target. Can they get it? They do, but the Twilight Dream hitting 4. They're calling for the kill onto Varian, but they're not able to get it. Murden falling first. And they're going to pull back. I don't think they can let them get this. They got to finish that Varian, but Chen diving in is ultimately going to sacrifice himself. And it looks like the objective is coming out. Can Sylvanas get a kill? She gets a kill thanks to the taunt. Tychus falling as well. And it's just Malfurion left for Zul'jin Distillery. But is it enough? The waves are pressed in pretty far. The top cavalry is going to be coming right into the core. There is one keep left. Raynor pushing the lane out as far as possible, and I think that's extremely important because if we had 2 of the cavalry coming right in, probably ends the game. I'm a chicken head redeemed Alpha time. I will have to pick up Alpha here in just a moment. I'll find her after the game and bring her in for this. But it looks like the cavalry going to be taken out pretty quickly here in the mid lane. So nothing going to happen there. Top lane also going down pretty well. Sylvanas able to take that out relatively easily. And now in the bot lane, they'll be able to finish this up as well. So net total, going to get a couple of towers, a little bit of damage onto the fort. But they're already setting up for the top boss. It's level 20. I haven't shown these talents in a little while, so I'll bring those up. And this is a very good play for Zul'jin Distillery, and ProBUs doesn't seem to have any idea that this is going on. They have the barrel, but that's not enough to stop a Deathwing. Deathwing can just stand on the point. They have to kill Deathwing to make it work. Rainer's still in the bot lane. You can see they're heading up. Oh, they're stopping. They're stopping. Why are you stopping, guys? They just took too long. So they've got the siege camp going in the mid lane. And this is danger territory. A boss with 2 keeps down, along with the full squad, could potentially end this game if they are not able to find some kills onto some heroes very quickly. Do we have a rival of God? We do. So additional damage and additional benefits for Deathwing when he lands on heroes. So look for that. Here they come. 5-man defense. Here comes the boss. And Deathwing coming down does not get doesn't reduce anybody's spell armor at least, but did get some meteors to hit. Core sitting at about 80% and falling very quickly here. The boss is sitting about half, but the light bomb is going to get onto 2. I think it missed its target. I think the original target was supposed to be Murden. The core falling under 20% now, and with 2 heroes dead, that's going to be GG in favor of Zul'jin Distillery on Alterac Pass. A 2-0 victory. Thumbing their noses at chat. All right, and we are back, and I brought a friend. We'll be showing her off here in just a moment, but let's take a look at these stats and these talents. Congratulations to Zul'jin Distillery on their victory, and we'll see if we can't get an interview with DeWitt or the representative of his choice. All right, we'll keep an eye on that. And I think I showed those. All right, let's say hi to everybody, huh? Say hello, everybody, huh? This is Alpha. Some of you may be familiar with Alpha. She's going to help with the interview today. Oh, Shadonis isn't on Zul'jin Distillery. That's silly.
Hello.
Hello, and welcome. We are joined by DeWitt and Cowboy Kyle. Congratulations on your victory. That was a pretty solid setup for you guys there. How are you feeling after that?
Feels good. I think we played our strengths and didn't really falter too much. Only lost like that one team fight, pretty much. Maybe 2. Yeah,
there were a couple of fights in that second game that, you know, went against you. Of course, the first game, none of them. There was only the one opportunity for Diablo to sacrifice himself to tower shots that was presented there early in the game. But for the most part, you guys had a good handle on the match and control over the series. So what was your preparation like? This is early in the season. This is a new team. What kind of things do you do to prepare for your, I guess, technically second game, although technically your first week match for this setup?
For this team, they are new. They have a couple players from the other ProBUs team, but pretty new. So I didn't want to spend too much time on it and kind of distract from our own game plan. So I just looked at their like a scrimmage, a couple scrimmages they did, and their last game. So I had about, I think, 5 maps worth of hero picks for them. So not a whole lot of data.
Sure. So game number 1 there, the last pick, Deathwing, was that originally your plan, or was that kind of the result of, hey, you know what, they can't really stop us with this? What was the mindset behind that?
I had heard that Deathwing was one of the best into Rexar, which there aren't that many solo lane matchups that are good into him. So I was asking Kyle if he wanted to try it out, and he jumped right on it, had the most damage, and then it worked the first game, so we just did it again the second game.
Sure, makes sense.
That's the first competitive Deathwing we've played, so big shout out to Kyle here, doing the most damage, soaking all the minions, killed it.
Doing my best.
So Kyle, did you watch any of there? Just coincidentally, you guys both have played a match this season already. Did you watch any of the match they played against Nexus Cats?
No, I have not. Did they do some Deathwing shenanigans there?
They played on Dragonshire, and they were Chen versus Deathwing, and at that point it was definitely in favor of the Chen on Dragonshire at least. So now your mileage may have varied in this circumstance if they had gone that, but I was just interested to see if that was something that you had watched specifically, because of course in game number 2 that was the matchup.
No, I think a lot of times, like playing offlane stuff, you can tell how a person is playing, if they're being aggressive or if they're just they're getting a little bit, playing too defensive. And I especially in offlane, I can tell and go, okay, well, they're doing this, and I know what my hero is capable of doing. And if I know I can bully them, even though let's say they have the advantage, I'll just push and just keep going.
Sure. And DeWitt, there on game number 1, the tanks were getting a little bit scarce, as about half of them had been picked or banned. Was the Diablo the top choice from the beginning, or was that just kind of, hey, I gotta take this because it's really the only thing I got left?
I like Diablo a lot. I don't mind playing him at all. It's fine into Garrosh. I think depending on how you play it, you can counter. One can counter the other, but it's not necessarily the same one every matchup.
Right.
No, I didn't feel too choked out there. I thought about a Tyrael too, but decided to have a little more engage with the follow-up we had.
Sure. So we're at the beginning of the season, and you guys have a pretty hefty division. I think if I remember correctly, you have 13 total teams, so you're going to have the maximum of 4 flex matches. A pretty busy season to look forward to. Is there anything that you guys are looking forward to specifically this season? Any special plans or anything that we should all be mindful of coming out from the XGD?
I think it's kind of just business as usual.
Right.
This is what, our 6th season or something? Our 4th season with this roster, if I remember correctly. Is that right, Kyle?
Sounds about right. I actually did if anything, I'm curious to see how games go with the way the tower changes are and everything, and how that affects just gameplay across all the divisions. You know what I mean? Like, people are having to play a little bit differently than they used to. So I'm curious to see what that translates into the rest of the season.
And do you feel like that change had much of an impact tonight, this afternoon, between either your team or their team? Do you feel like that had much value?
I think sometimes it did, but not really. It just depends. Like, if I think like our team, we've played enough practice games and whatnot, and we've understand that, hey, watch your range stuff. If you're gonna catch a hero, you're just gonna get targeted. You just got to be a little bit more cautious about where you're putting your damage.
I did
there were
notice.
definitely
Go ahead.
some points with Varian where if I was below half health, I wouldn't. Like, it was a 75% kill. I could have gotten it, but I'm pretty sure I would have died just because of the changes.
Right. There was one particular moment, and I did call it out on stream, where I think it was the top fort on Alterac. I'm not positive of that though. Where Kael'thas dropped his Phoenix, and it was like dead center on the fort, right? So any hero that happened to be remotely in the vicinity was going to trigger it, and you could see like Kael'thas duck in for like a second, and then he gets targeted, maybe hit once by the tower, and he's like, nope, I'm out of here, right? Just because you just can't take those shots, especially as a squishy, for more than 1 or 2, you'll just die. So, last question for you here on that first core attempt, where it was Raynor and I don't remember. There was Raynor and somebody else, Anduin, I think. What were your guys' thoughts at that time as far as the core? With you still have the 2 keeps up. Did you think it was feasible, or was it just kind of a we're not really sure? Let's poke at it and see what happens. What were your thoughts going on there?
It was more like that, and if we could grab a Raynor kill, maybe that'll secure it. I felt uncomfortable with the 2 armor plates still up, and the play was probably to go finish the middle keep, but it's also kind of the core changes are mostly aesthetic, but there is a little bit of value to them. Like that core call where you're like, I'm pretty sure it'll work. Now I'm kind of like, not exactly that comfortable with it.
Right, and I don't think there were any core changes to Alterac Pass, but certainly the other maps, Dragonshire didn't seem to really cause any significant issues. But there are some maps like Sky Temple that it's absolutely brutal.
Right.
Yeah, I think Garden of Terror is pretty terrible. It's not in rotation, but I think some like that. We had last match we played on Dragonshire as well, and the core was like, it seemed like it was out to get me. The turning into stone